Today's video has been sponsored by Mohegan.
Can we just discuss how I just walked down here to start filming and I discovered this at my seat? The Valentine's Day fairy has apparently came. Thanks, Mom.
But hello my peeps and welcome back to the channel. Once again, I'm sorry I missed last week. I went skiing, had a couple drinks, tried to hit a jump, partially tore my MCL, and couldn't walk for a few days, so sorry. Which is why most of these TikTok recipes would have been perfect for a Super Bowl snacks special last week, with the exception of the Sprite Ramen that a few of you just sent me and I decided to throw in there. And in addition to that, we're gonna be testing out these crispy fried bubble potato pillows from Miss She and Mr. He, these mouth-watering mini salmon sliders from Tamani Cooks, as well as these Cheeto encrusted mozzarella donuts from Albert & Cook, which happened to already have my stomach feeling like an 18th century butter churner. That is a lot of cheese, my guy. That's all I'm saying. Let me know down in the comments which recipe you think is gonna come out the best today, and let's get right into this one. Personally, I think these salmon sliders are gonna come out delicious. I can't see them being bad, but I think I'm most intrigued by the Sprite Ramen. I mean, who wouldn't be? Thankfully, I will be up to any cooking task today with the help from my friends over at Mohegan. For years, you guys have watched me make hundreds of incredible creations with Mohegan's high quality products, and today they are back once again to give you guys a great hookup as well as to show off their amazing chef's knife. Mohegan knows that there's a right tool for every job, and with the unique sloped handle for easier and safer chopping, the Mohegan chef's knife is the perfect tool for all cutting tasks. And even though this guy is 2 to 3 times less expensive than other premium knife brands, the Mohegan chef's knife is universally loved. It's made from premium materials like high-grade stainless steel, and Mohegan has essentially eliminated all the marketing jargon and overwhelming choices to take the guesswork out of buying great products. So if you would like to elevate your kitchenware and save some money while doing it, click the link in the top line of the description and use promo code Seymour to get 20% of your first Mohegan order. And while you're over there, don't forget to check on some of their other great products like the stainless steel and nonstick pans. Once again, it is code Seymour for 20% off of your first order when you click that link, and of course, thank you so much to Mohegan for sponsoring today's video. Let's start today off with the world's crunchiest, pillowy, fried mashed potato bites. I'm not even exaggerating, listen to these things. If you'd like to make them, grab some potato starch and gochugaru, some russet potatoes and glutinous or sweet rice flour, and of course some salt and pepper. Not that I'm always on top of things and super punctual anyway, I really hate when I have things like perfectly planned and set up, and then something comes along that derails it all. Like I had all these finger foods and little snack items ready to go for all of your Super Bowl parties, and the overconfident skiing bug bites me in the butt. I really thought it was gonna be worse than it was. Like I really couldn't walk on it for a couple days there, but pretty sure it's just a partial tear, so we'll be all right. As for these little cutest potato bites there ever were, you're basically just gonna boil up some potatoes with a little slit down the middle to help peel them. Did that help me peel them? Not really. I give that hack a solid 6 out of 10. Kind of like YouTube's anti-bullying and harassment policies. It's a good idea in theory, but maybe not very useful. I pushed these guys through a potato ricer because I'm not about to sit there with a little tiny garlic press for an hour. And then the riced potatoes gets mixed up with everything else, your starches, your salt and pepper. And at first, I really did try to copy the video. I tried to make them into a little log and then slice them up and form them that way. But these were super dry and really crumbly and nearly impossible to form that way. I made sure to measure out and really nail the amounts of all these ingredients, including 300 grams of the potato. I really only ended up using half of that potato you saw me boil and rice. But I found some success just forming these guys in my hand, smushing them down with a little fork, and then popping them in the oil that way. They fried up beautifully, they sounded super crispy as I was taking them out. And once they are strained on paper towels and cooled down a bit, they get finished up with a little sprinkling of the gochugaru or any kind of chili powder that you have. And now is the time that we get to start eating these. It's basically just a potato croquette tater tot. Gochugaru really isn't too hot compared to most chili powders, so you can go heavier with it. It wasn't too hot. These are delicious overall. They are tiny balls of fried mashed potato. They are as good as you can imagine. I wish there was a way to make them a little less greasy. I feel like maybe if you coated them in something on the outside, potato starch or like a mix of some starch and a flour, because it's pretty oily throughout, but other than that, these are fantastic. I do wish I had a little side of something to dip them in, maybe a sriracha mayo. Ooh, that and a beer. I'd be happy. Next up, from Tamani Cooks, we're gonna be trying out their unbelievable looking mini salmon sliders. You're gonna wanna grab some Hawaiian rolls and flour, some fresh salmon and garlic powder, some hot sauce and yellow mustard, black pepper, honey, half and half, seasoned salt, Cajun seasoning, an egg, and some butter. Unless I'm just ignorant to other people's preparation of salmon, which is very possible, I feel like it's very rare to see a fried salmon, especially in a sandwich. I feel like I primarily only ever see people grilling it or sauteing it to get the skin really crispy. Although I do remember the brown slop salmon burgers that my high school cafeteria used to serve once in a while. Of course, when I was in middle and high school is when they took all the good foods away, the fries and the mozzarella sticks and the good pizza. We ended up with the flavorless, multi-whole grain nonsense. Which is fine now. I try to eat a little bit healthier, but for Kid David, he was not impressed. That's why I felt very seen when a wise man once said,
Michelle Obama ruined our school lunches.
What do you want to say to Michelle Obama about the school lunches?
Our lunches are disgusting.
But let's get back on track. So for the fish, you whip up your dry batter with some flour, some spices. Then you mix the wet batter, consisting of some half and half, an egg, some hot sauce, mustard. You've got to cut up your fish into some little squares that'll fit on the tiny little Hawaiian rolls. I dunked it in the wet batter, then the dry, and then into 375-degree oil for about 6 minutes. This smelled absolutely incredible, even though it was 12:30 in the morning when I was making these. The toast on that Cajun seasoning, it's just to die for. And luckily, because this isn't a Joshua Weissman recipe, we only have one more step, and that is toasting up your buns with a little drizzle of honey on the tops. I kind of love the idea of having a sweet and sticky element around the outside of these. And then you're done. Just stack them up and give them a taste. Honestly, I'm scared to open my mouth because I feel like drool is gonna pour out of it. Something about a very well-cooked, like juicy piece of fried fish on a toasty bun is gotta be one of my favorite things on the planet. This is so good and crisp and light. Hawaiian rolls are god tier on their own, but when they're basted and toasted in butter, and then that honey too, it almost caramelized a little bit on top. There's a littlest bit of crisp. These are delicious, and I would eat them anytime gladly. If I were to make them again, I would probably add a little bit of moisture, some kind of sauce, maybe a homemade honey mustard, some variation of a tartar sauce. But as is, extremely good. TikTok, you have another winner. Next on the to-do list today is an interesting one. We've got some Sprite Ramen from Diana Mangyan, and if you would like to make them, grab some Sprite soda and Chinese black vinegar, low sodium soy sauce, and lao gan ma, some vegetable oil and fresh cilantro, white sesame seeds, and cold water, a block of instant ramen, some hot red chilies, fresh garlic, and fresh green onions. I'm sure, just like a ton of you out there, my initial snap reaction to this was just a big old eye roll. I assumed it was another dumb TikTok trend that probably tastes disgusting, is a waste of food, but is getting views. But based on the other recipes on Diana's page, as well as the ingredients in this thing, we may stand corrected. I chopped up my aromatics, the chilies and garlic, all the greens, the green onions, and the cilantro. I boiled off my noodles for about a minute after the block starts to come apart, and then just dunked them down into some cold ice water. And then that's it. That's all you gotta do in preparation for this one. The rest of this is gonna come together in your final serving bowl. I personally love the idea of using some smoking hot oil to kind of cook off the rawness of the garlic here. And then obviously the kicker of this recipe is 150 milliliters of Sprite. Will that ruin all the other delicious flavors that are probably going on inside this bowl? That is the grand question, so let's give it a try. Yes, I'm about to use bamboo skewers because I'm out of chopsticks. What about it? This is delicious. First of all, I love ramen, as you guys know. Ramen has to be really, really bad for me to not eat it. And there's so many flavors going on in here. They're so strong and tasty, dynamic. There's just so much going on. You don't think anything of it. What a pleasant surprise, honestly. I didn't think it would be disgusting. I didn't think it'd be inedible, but I didn't think I would like it this much. I guess when you think about it, the Sprite is really only adding citrus flavor, some sweetness with the sugar, and then a little carbonation, which also sounds weird, but it works. Somehow it is very good. Shout out to everybody who sent me this on Instagram and elsewhere. Some good stuff. Lastly, in both this video and my doctor's suggested food that I intake is the Cheeto encrusted deep fried mozzarella donuts. And if you're deranged enough to want to make them, grab some flour and salt and pepper, San Marzanos and some low moisture mozzarella, olive oil and fresh basil, fresh oregano, an onion, fresh garlic, crunchy Cheetos, an egg, and some butter. I started by chopping up everything I'd need for the marinara sauce, the only vegetables or any remotely healthy foods that's going anywhere near this end plate. This is actually pretty reminiscent of Mark Iacono's tomato sauce recipe for his pizza that we made 2 weeks ago. You stew the tomatoes with some onion, garlic, butter, olive oil, and salt for about 45 minutes. Toss in your herbs, let them wilt down, and then blend it together and you're good. Super simple, classic, delicious, I'm sure. And now we are gonna move over to the donuts. This food item just screams 2016 BuzzFeed. It's a recipe I would have done gladly as a high schooler or college kid and probably eaten 2 or 3 of them once the cameras went off. I would do that after every single video for a few weeks in a row, and then some of y'all would be shocked that you could start seeing my double chin poking out. The weight fluctuations that I've gone through because of this career and just the life around it in general is pretty staggering, actually. Sorry for rambling so much today. So we have to melt down the mozzarella over a double boiler, grossly shove it in these donut molds, let them sit in the fridge for a couple hours to overnight to completely solidify, and then we're gonna dredge them in some chopped up frickin' Cheetos. This one step in particular, crusting things with a popular chip brand or a cereal brand for desserts, you just know they're going for clicks and views. After this gets cooked in 350-degree oil for a couple minutes, it retains none of that Cheeto flavor. I've experienced this with Cheetos before, Doritos, you name it. But we have arrived to something. I should have probably crushed up the Cheetos more evenly because it browned super unevenly. But nonetheless, it is time to try, so I have the EMS on standby. Sure, many of you will be familiar with these. Should I act like that guy and over-exaggerate and do a big cheese pull? Oh. Very hot. Holy shit. To nobody's surprise, these taste good. I mean, despite their weird coloration, the cheese is nicely melted. There's a nice crisp on the outside. Having said all that, I think this one bite is probably more than your daily recommended cheese intake. And I literally feel my chest tightening. I'm not even saying that as a joke. Am I having a heart attack? Is my arm numb? I try to get one of those obnoxious YouTuber thumbnails with their mouth open. That should do. I gotta get this out of here before I eat any more of it. It's tasty, it is fine. If you make it, I don't recommend more than 1 per year. It doesn't taste like Cheetos though, at all. That's always been my experience when breading things and chips like that. Just use panko or something and like use the blended Cheeto dust after the fact, or even some cheddar cheese powder. It would accomplish the goal a lot better than doing this. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave me a big old like. Let me know what you'd like to see me make next week down in the comments or over on Twitter and Instagram. The links to those are down in the description. If you don't follow me already, thanks to Mizan for making this one possible. Other than that, have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you right back here next time. Peace!
Bring my finger cooking, chefing in that kitchen, flexing how we living, yeah. I'm cooking up that fire out in David's kitchen. They were calling me a lie, nah, they be wishing that they could have seen the fire out in David's kitchen. Yeah, we cooking up that rah, yeah. Now we eating all the fries out in David's kitchen. Yeah, we living super size, yeah.
I realized I just finished filming that whole video and didn't address my new hair a single time. I figured because I got injured and couldn't move for a couple days, why not try again, because it faded really badly. So I had my friend Kennedy try, and I think she killed it, but you guys let me know. It's definitely the best attempt so far. You guys have seen all the other ones, so shout out Kennedy.